السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون. فطر الخلائق بقدرته ونشر الرياح برحمته ووتد بالصخور ميدان أرضه. ثم الصلاة والسلام على العبد المؤيد والرسول المسدد حبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وآله الطيبين الطاهرين وصحبه المنتجبين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. عباد الله، أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. غدا سيكون أول يوم من شهر رجب المرجب، شهر البركة، شهر العبادة، شهر ينادى فيه أين الرجبيون أين الرجبيون. وفي نفس اليوم غدا نحتفل ميلاد الإمام الباقر عليه السلام، الذي لقبه رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله بهذا اللقب. الرسول لقبه الباقر. وفي رواية رواها جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: يا جابر، يوشك أن تبقى حتى تلقى ولدا لي من الحسين عليه السلام يقال له محمد، يبقر العلم بقرا، فإذا لقيته فاقرأه مني السلام. عرف عهد الإمام الباقر عليه السلام بكثرة المناظرات والحوارات المفتوحة أمام الاتجاهات الضالة والآراء الفاسدة في ذاك الزمان. فقد امتاز الإمام الباقر عليه السلام على من سواه في جميع المجالات العقائدية والفقهية والتفسيرية والحديثية والعرفانية. كان عليه الصلاة والسلام يقول: الكمال كل الكمال التفقه في الدين والصبر على النائبة وتقدير المعيشة. وقال عليه السلام: إذا أردت أن تعلم أن فيك خيرا فانظر إلى قلبك، فإن كان يحب أهل طاعة الله ويبغض أهل معصية الله ففيك خير والله يحبك. وإذا كان يبغض أهل طاعة الله ويحب أهل معصيته فليس فيك خير والله يبغضك، والمرء مع من أحب. ومن أجمل كلمات الإمام الباقر عليه السلام حول الشيعة والتشيع قوله عليه السلام لجابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري قال: يا جابر، أيكتفي من انتحل التشيع أن يقول بحبنا أهل البيت فوالله ما شيعتنا إلا من اتقى الله وأطاع الله، وما كانوا يعرفون يا جابر، يعني الشيعة ما كانوا يعرفون يا جابر إلا بالتواضع والتخشع والأمانة وكثرة ذكر الله والصوم والصلاة والبر بالوالدين والتعاهد للجيران من الفقراء وأهل المسكنة والغارمين والأيتام، وصدق الحديث وتلاوة القرآن وكف الألسن عن الناس إلا من خير، وكانوا أمناء عشائرهم في الأشياء، أو أمناء عشائرهم في الأشياء. فسلام عليك يا محمد بن علي باقر علم الأولين، علوم الأولين والآخرين، أبا جعفر الإمام الباقر عليه السلام. اللهم صل على روحه الطاهرة أفضل ما صليت على أحد من ذرية أنبيائك ورسلك يا رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله أكرمه بالنبوة وجعله رحمة للعالمين. اللهم صل وسلم على عبدك ورسولك وحافظ سرك ومبلغ رسالاتك، وصل على وصيه وأخيه أمير المؤمنين، وصل على الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، وصل على سبتي الرحمة الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة، وصل على أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف القائم المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا سقما إلا شفيته، ولا رزقا إلا بسطته، ولا خوفا إلا أمنته، ولا سوءا إلا صرفته، ولا حاجة هي لك ردا ولي فيها صلاح إلا قضيتها يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين. So this weekend we have two occasions. The number one occasion and the most important one, the birthday of Imam Baqer, the 5th Imam of the 12th Imam of Ahlul Bayt school of thought. That briefly I talk about some of the ahadith and quotations from Al-Imam Al-Baqer that identifying the qualities and character of a faithful follower of Ahlul Bayt. The second occasion on this weekend, and that is Sunday, February 14th, and that is what nationally known as the Valentine's Day. And I wonder how this Valentine's Day ended up to be known as a day like romance and romantic love. Since Valentine, he was a bishop, a saint in the 3rd century of Christian history, that he was killed by the Roman Empire. So that is February 14th is the day of martyrdom of this man. So that is a day of sacrifice. But for whatever reason, this day, and the man himself, I wonder even if he was married, or if he ever married to begin with. But it ended up that the day of his martyrdom is the day of Valentine's Day, that you go out and get flower for your wife, or have a special dinner and saying I love you, and exchange of love between husband and wife and family. But for us as people of faith, we don't have to wait for Valentine's Day to show love to our spouse, for one another, for our friends, for our neighbors, for humanity. Every day must be a day of love. Because for mu'mineen, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَّدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. We are faithful, we are loving. And especially at the level of the family. وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. Family is the center of love. لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. So this mawadda and love is mentioned both for the family of the Prophet and also for every family. So this is something that even Imam Baqer alayhi salam, that we have his birthday tomorrow, he said, هل الدين إلا الحب? Tell me, what is religion but love? Religion is about love. So, and love is not just to get some candy or flower or a card. That is real. That is a sincere expression of compassion for your wife or your husband and family members. من أخلاق الأنبياء حب النساء. The hadith says that is something that all of the Anbiyas, they showed support and love for their wives and for woman community in general, because the women were oppressed at that time. And this is why the Prophet, peace be upon him, used the opportunity. حُبِّبَ إِلَيَّ مِنَ الدُّنْيَا ثَلَاثٌ النِّسَاء وَالطِّيبُ وَقُرَّةُ عَيْنِ الصَّلَاةِ. That there are 3 things in this world that I really love. He loved his wife Khadija, he loved perfume, and he loved prayer. So he put perfume between his wife and between the prayer. That means that you don't put perfume only for salat or just for your wife, your husband, but for both occasions. Perfume with your family and perfume for your prayer. والطيب is coming between النساء وقرة عيني الصلاة. Then the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, قول الرجل للمرأة إني أحبك لا يذهب من قلبها أبدا. When you say to your wife that I love you, these three words so magical that she never forgets. In another occasion, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, كلما ازداد العبد إيمانا ازداد حبا للنساء. As your faith is increased, then your love for your wife increase as well. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, "Al-mar'atu rayhanatun wa laysa biqahramana." That when you deal with your wife, she is like a flower. Don't act like a qahramana, that like a hard-working person that is so tough. No, it's not qahramana, but it is rayhana. Of course, not all of the women are rayhana, not all of the men are. Yes, the Prophet said, Al-Jannatu tahta aqdam al-ummahat. Women are so high that heaven under their feet. But in reality, the Prophet said this when all the women were like oppressed at that time. If Prophet was in 21st century, he would say, yes, Al-Jannatu tahta aqdam al-ummahat. But at the same time, Al-Jahimu tahta aqdam al-ummahat. That the woman can send their children to heaven and they can send their children to hell. So they have this power of making or breaking. But in general, because of the nature of women, the Prophet used any opportunity to emphasize on exchange of love between husband and wife. إِنَّ الرَّجُلَ إِذَا نَذَرَ إِلَى إِمْرَتِهِ وَامْرَأَتُهُ نَذَرَتْ إِلَيْهِ نَذَرَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى إِلَيْهِمَا نَذَرَ الرَّحْمَةِ. When a husband and wife, they look at one another in a loving look and a merciful attention to one another, Allah would be merciful to both of them and pays attention to both. And this is why, brothers and sisters, Islam emphasizes on the importance of the family from day number one. إِذَا جَاءَكُم مَّن تَرْضَوْنَ خُلْقَهُ وَدِينَهُ فَزَوِّجُوهُ. When somebody comes to you, look at this person akhlaq, his manner, and his faith. إِذَا صَاحِبُ الْأَخْلَاقِ صَاحِبُ الدِّينِ صَاحِبُ الْعَقْلِ. خلاص, that's all you need. Your first question shouldn't be about his money and his house and his car and his nationality. Is he Lebanese? Is he Iraqi? And now we got to the problem. If the person is Muslim, person is Shi'ia, and person is Arab, but still is different from this country or that country. And now we limited, even now, let's say this man is Lebanese, and now we say, هو من الجنوب من الشمال. And now even if he's from Junub, from the south, if he from this area like Tebnin area or Nabatiya area, or is from Bint Jubail area, this is asabiya, this is racism, this is haram. We cannot just accuse other people, oh, racism is evil, but then we ourselves practice racism. And this is why things getting out of our control. And then our sons and daughters are getting married with people who don't have even the faith foundations. Because we did not accommodate it in our community. So the manner, the personality is the first thing. لا تزوجوه إن كان سيء الخلق. He didn't say لا تزوجوه إن كان فقيرا. But إن كان سيء الخلق, if the akhlaq of this person is bad, then he doesn't deserve your daughter. That is number one. The same thing about the other. إياكم وخضراء الدمن المرأة الحسناء في منبت السوء. It's very, very beautiful in physical beauty. But you have to look at the background. Look at the beauty of her faith, beauty of her intellect, beauty of her education, beauty of her prayer and patience, beauty of her modesty and companionship. Because the physical beauty is going to be temporary. After a while, we are all going through age and beauty is gone, or some accident happened. Like yesterday, there were like over 100 cars in Texas. The road was icy and 100 accidents. So some people die, some people get injured. So Islam focuses on the beauty of belief, beauty of brain, before the beauty of body. And that's extremely important. We heard about like Layli and Majnun, like Layla and Majnun in our traditions, that they were dying for one another. Not that they were beautiful. As a matter of fact, what we read, that both of them were ugly, physically, none of them beautiful. But why they were crazily loving one another and impressed, that was their inside, not outside. It was not physical. It was something about their personality, about their spirit. This is extremely important. That there are people that even might be different in age, but what connects them? Their mentality, their faith, their akhlaq, their prayer, their spirituality. And people, they say, oh, why about this man? Why you cannot marry a younger girl? Why you cannot marry a younger man? And they are shocked that physically these two people don't match. But they don't look at the beauty that they feel. Only Layli understood Majnun and Majnun understood Layli. People didn't understand. And for that reason, brothers and sisters, when we talk about family love, that is really the foundation. If you want to have peace in the world, remember we discussed in the last 2 weeks that peace starts from me. Peace starts from family. And when there is love in the family, that means there is peace in that family. And when families are peaceful, families are stable, families are strong, families are faithful, families are fixed, then that directly or indirectly influence the community, influence the world. You want to have peace in the world? That starts from the family. And this is the big crisis that we are facing nowadays. That the relationship between husband and wife, or between father and children, or mother and children, we lost that part. The worst crisis is not corona. The worst crisis is this virus in immorality in general, and hatred even among some family members. The family members, brothers and sisters, parents and children, that is the closest one. Al-mawaddatu fil qurba. When we lose that, when the members of the family, instead of helping one another, they are hurting one another, that is a tragedy. And this is why the Quran, like if you look at Surah Al-Isra, you remember years back, almost 10 years ago, we were going through Tafsir Surah Al-Isra in Salatul Jummah. It took us almost a year. We had over 50 lectures about Surah Al-Isra. And one of the verses in Surah Al-Isra, a couple of verses, dealing with the duties and obligations of children towards their parents, and that in that verse there are at least 7 orders that sons and daughters are obligated to show love to their parents, to show love, to show courtesy, dignified dialogue, zero rebellion, humbleness, mercy and prayer. These are 7 items that children should pray for their parents, show love for them, show courtesy and respect and obedience for their parents, showing zero rebellion against them. When they talk with them, qawlan karima, dignified dialogue with their parents. And that is a tragedy of losing all of these things. That sometimes even we see the parents, whether it is mom or dad, innocent, they did everything for their children. But then you see the daughter, the son, they are using all of these bad words against their parents. That's a big haram. That is disgraceful. And there is no sin more serious. There is hadith that a lot of the sins that we committed, brothers and sisters, in this dunya, there might be no chance of punishment for the sins that we do in this world. And the punishment is on the day of judgment. But one of the serious sins that people are going to be punished for already in this dunya, before dying and before Yawm al-Akhir, is Aqul Walidain. If somebody is rude, disrespectful, hateful, aggressive, and ugly to his dad, to his mom, that is a serious, heavy sin that is going to be punished. They are not going to be happy in their life. This kind of children that they are hurting their dad, their mom, their life is going to be miserable. No matter how much education or money or position they may get in this life, they are not going to be happy in their life if they made their parents unhappy. This is a hadith. And people who are loving and helpful and merciful and compassionate to their parents, no matter how much they may lose materially in this life, but still they are going to be happy. They are going to enjoy their life. This is something. I see it from my parents, from the prayers of my mom. And many of you, you know that the power of the prayer of your parents have been very, very decisive in what you are now, today. And feel bad for those who lose that. Unfortunately, now in the society where we live, I mean in our neighboring, you go to Detroit, in some areas, there are so many children that they do not even know their biological parents. They never met their dads. And some of them, they don't remember their moms. And they did not experience that love and that fulfillment and that attachment of the family. Then the next thing is going to be drugs and alcohol and violence and jail and suicide and homicide and all these tragedies in their life. So the Valentine's Day is not about only love between husband and wife and parents and children in the physical conditions, but also, brothers and sisters, love for our spiritual parents. أنا وعلي أبوا هذه الأمة. Prophet Muhammad, Imam Ali, they are our spiritual parents. And those scholars, those marjas, those jurisprudence, those sacrificed their life and provided us with spiritual food. And they fed us. They fed our hearts, our souls, our minds with their spiritual provision and al-rizq al-ruhi. I'm so happy to hear that in March, coming month, the Pope is going to visit Iraq, and he will meet with one of our Abba, a spiritual father, Al-Marja As-Sayyid Al-Sistani, Hafadahullah. That's the first time that I know that the Pope has been visited by many of our scholars. President Rouhani visited him, President Khatami visited him. But that's the first time that the Pope himself is going to Iraq, and visiting with Ayatollah Sistani is included in his schedule. And this is, inshallah, going to be a new chapter in dialogue and conversation between the Muslim community and Catholic community, and especially Shia Muslim at that highest level. You remember 42 years ago on these days, we had another spiritual father for the Ummah, Al-Imam Al-Rahil, that he didn't have an army, he didn't have weapon, he didn't have any organization, but one person with faith, firmness, fearlessness, determination and dedication, power of prayer and wisdom, was able to put an end to 2,500 years of corrupt monarchy in that part of the world. Was the biggest surprise of 20th century. That was the biggest surprise. How this happened. When Oriana Fallaci was an Italian journalist who passed away in 2006. And she was an amazing lady who met with so many leaders of the world. She met with Fidel Castro, with Gaddafi, with Arafat, even with Kissinger, with Shah of Iran. And this lady was amazing that anytime she meets with someone, break the guard. She made the Shah so angry during the conversation that Shah lost it, because when you get angry, you cannot use your brain anymore, and you get lost, and he said nonsense. They tried to get the tapes from Fallaci, but she already gave it to the Italian embassy. When the Savak, the secret police of Shah, went to the hotel, they couldn't get it because they found out that Shah lost it. And that became like a big problem at that time between Iran and Italy because of that interview. When she met with Kissinger, and Kissinger, the man who was Kissinger, she made it miserable in a way that Kissinger later on said that was the worst single interview I ever had in my life, that tragic, that disastrous. It's amazing, a lady at that time in 60s and 70s was able to break the guard of anybody that she meets. She is able to, disarm the person, no matter how powerful that king or president, anywhere. She met with Ayatollah Khomeini in Qom, just 6 months after the Islamic Revolution. That was in September 12, 1979. And that interview was published later on on October in New York Times. And it's amazing, the Imam is sitting on the carpet and this lady Oriana, she is sitting with the chador, with the abaya. And she was challenging the Imam. Imam was 79, 80 years old at that time. And it's amazing that this Imam sitting and talking with a journalist, with the lady, while Imam was in the middle of all these daily pressures, and now everything is fresh and chaotic all over the country and the world. And this lady is challenging the marja, the Imam, about freedom, about democracy, about dictatorship, about everything, about music, about alcohol, about what is the nature of Islamic Republic. And she is saying, why should I have this chador even with me? And the Imam, who is not just a political leader, he is a faqih, he is a filsuf, he is a hakim, he is an alim, he is a mufassir, he is a spiritual man, he is an arif, he is a sadiq fi sabilillah. And he is saying that, well, if you don't believe in this hijab, you're not, first of all, not Muslim. And Imam said something that this lady considered it as a big insult. Imam said that, you know, hijab is not for the old ladies, and hijab is for the young women who respect themselves. That's for them. So she understood it as, so am I old now and I'm not beautiful, or what is the thing? But Imam said it in an innocent way, and she took the chador. She says, so I don't have to have that. And Imam is relaxedly and patiently continuing this interview of that age, and he is saying, I'm tired, but the lady said, but Imam, I have more questions now. And probably lasted for an hour and a half, for 2 hours. I mean, if you look at the interview, it's like almost 20 pages. And I don't know how many pages of New York Times, was a long, long interview. When she was done with this interview, this lady who broke all these leaders in the world, she was asked that, how you found this man? She said that I met so many leaders in the world, but this is something different. She was Christian, she was from Rome, and she said that in my soul I felt that I was talking with the second Messiah. She didn't have to say that. And she said it inside Iran and even when she was in Italy. So when we talk about a spiritual father, a spiritual family, brothers and sisters, it's not only physical, and that's why I'm glad that the Pope is meeting with, he is a spiritual father for Catholic Church, and he is meeting with Ayatollah Sistani, another spiritual father for the Muslims and the followers of Ahlul Bayt, and that is great. I hope that our president recognized that for the last 42 years, every president put more pressure on the idea of that Al-Imam al-Rahil. That when Oriana asked him that, why you are talking all of these things? I mean, the airplane you came is from the West, your telephone is from the West, the TV is from the West. The Imam said, we are not against the Western technology and Western science. We are talking about morality. That is the point that we disagree. And I wrote a letter to President Biden, and I put that on my Facebook. If you notice that this was the terrorism of Trump that put that sanction against people. And that was a wrong thing that happened. And that was a call and commitment of your campaign to put an end to the pain and suffering of a nation in the entire region. And as the US under Trump was the one who took that wrong move, this is you who have to take the right move. Because we want to see peace between Iran after 40 years of all this hostility and animosity and hatred. Enough is enough. We want to see peace between Islamic Republic of Iran and United States of America. We want to see these two people, two civilized nations, they are at peace and peace is possible. Go for the real terrorists. Trump himself was a terrorist of what he did on January 6th. That was a real. Can you imagine the guy saying, go and fight and be strong and I love you and all of these things. And they damaged the capital of the United States. They were looking for the vice president to kill him. They destroyed the office of the House Speaker. And now there are some people say, oh, this is part of his freedom of speech. And the First Amendment, okay, Mr. Double Standard, if somebody else come and say go and attack and destroy the House and Congress and kill the Vice President, do you consider that as the right of First Amendment for somebody else as well? Are you saying that terrorism is good if somebody like Trump does it, but is bad for somebody else? This is why we focus on wrong target. Those people who didn't kill us, those people who didn't fight with us, they put, like Trump put, even sanction of an Imam Rida shrine. Can you imagine that somebody goes to Mashhad and donate to the shrine of Imam Rida? That is something illegal. I hope the Biden now that put an end to the sanction against the Houthi in Yemen. That is nonsense. Sanction against the shrine, absolutely religious organization. So we focus on that, and this is, we forgot about domestic terrorism, domestic violence. And this is why January 6th was a wake-up call for all of us. And I hope that the system takes this seriously, that we all, as a nation, as one family, stand against terrorism, against violence, no matter who does it, from inside or outside. But we cannot be double standard. We cannot say there is good terrorism and bad terrorism, good coup and bad coup, good violence and bad violence. No, there is no double standard in that case. That is hypocrisy. And this is the worst virus, that though we have a good news that there is a vaccine for the virus of corona, but unfortunately there is no vaccine for the virus of hypocrisy. That is something that we have to raise our children from day number one, to be honest, be truthful, not to be hypocrite, and to pray to God. The prayer is the medicine for this virus. This is why we say, Allahumma tahir qalbi min al-nifaq, wa amali min al-riya, wal lisani min al-kadhb, wa ayni min al-khiyana, fa innaka ta'lamu kha'inata al-a'yuni wa ma tukhfi as-sudur. Allahumma ighfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat wal muslimina wal muslimat al-ahya'i minhum wal amwat, وتابع بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر وإلى الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر. والسلام عليكم.
الله على محمد وآل محمد.
أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. وأن عليا ولي الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. سووا صفوفكم واعتدلوا أيها المؤمنون والمؤمنات. Straight line, social distance, and silence during the salat. Silence your cell phone during the salat. إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين. وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا. بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائما قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم أنت المسبح في كل مكان والمعبود في كل زمان والموجود في كل أوان، والمدعو بكل لسان، والمعظم في كل جنان. أستغفرك اللهم من كل لذة بغير ذكرك، ومن كل راحة بغير أنسك، ومن كل سرور بغير قربك، ومن كل شغل بغير طاعتك يا أرحم الراحمين. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده، سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأبرك. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الرحمن الرحيم، مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم، صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها، وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها، وقال الإنسان ما لها، يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحى لها. يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم، فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره، ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم احملنا في سفن نجاتك، ومتعنا لذيذ مناجاتك، وأوردنا حياذ حبك وقربك وودك. اللهم اجعلنا من المسارعين إلى الخيرات، العاملين للباغيات الصالحات، والساعين إلى رفيع الدرجات، برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد يا ولي العافية. أسألك العافية، عافية الدين والدنيا والآخرة يا أرحم الراحمين. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله لا إله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا من تحل به عقد المكاره، يا من يلتمس منه المخرج إلى روح الفرج، ذلت لقدرتك الصعاب وتسببت بلطفك الأسباب، وجرى بقدرتك القضاء ومضت على مشيئتك الأشياء. صل على محمد وآل محمد وارحمنا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تقبل الله. أيها الإخوة والأخوات، مرة أخرى congratulations. شهر رجب بكرة أول يوم من أيام شهر رجب المرجب. إن شاء الله أنتم الرجبيون. أين الرجبيون؟ أنتم الرجبيون إن شاء الله والرجبيات. So also tomorrow the birthday of Imam Baqer. Sunday is the يوم الحب. إن شاء الله every day كل يوم هو يوم الحب. Every day is day of love and peace and unity. Two announcements. Number one, don't forget, today is the last day of registering for the class of Saturday and Sunday, 25 session of Aqaid and Fiqh. And something that I really like about Sayyid Dr. Musawi, the time that he leaves for question and answer. So the mutun might be simple, but that gives you an opportunity to raise questions, and he would answer your question. Subhanallah, we were trying to bring him here, wouldn't get visa, but now you do all these things on Zoom without all of this time and expenses and all of these things. So Sister Zainab is going to be there to register. Don't miss it, to learn from this opportunity, because House of Wisdom is Darul Hikmah, Darul Ilm, Darul Amal, Darul Iman, Darul Mahabba, Darul Khidmah, and we are trying to not only prayer but also education and also food, that is physical part. So we try as a House of Wisdom, and we don't mind that the community recognize, don't recognize, appreciate, don't appreciate. We don't do this for people. We don't care. We don't need that part. What we need is, inshallah, mardat Allah, huwa al-qabul, that He accepts from us. So that is one. And the second announcement, that the following week we are going to have again blood donation here. And you know that anytime that we do, I'm the first one who go ahead, it doesn't kill us, to donate a little blood for people who are suffering from corona. They are in the hospitals. We do it frequently at the House of Wisdom. So you register also if you would like to contribute some blood for the hospitals. That is an opportunity that you are going to have that. على أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات والشهداء وأرواح أمواتكم. سورة الفاتحة بعد الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. وأن عليا ولي الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. صلاة العصر. الله